So, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Vanessa Tzoannos. I'm a counsel with Dickinson, specializing on shipping finance law, corporate law, and I'm also a Marshall Islands counsel and a Liberian law advisor. Today with me, before proceeding, pardon me, I would like to thank Capital Link for the excellent organization and for giving us opportunity to participate in such a great event. Thank you very much, Mr. Bornozis and the team of Capital Link. Today with me, I have Mr. Benjamin Wong from InvestHK, who is the head of transport and industrial sectors. Hello, Ben, how are you today?
Hello, Vanessa. It's fantastic. It's our evening, but hi, good morning.
Oh, yes, yes, great. So, you know, it's a global community, as we always say. So we start.
Right. Sure.
So as we all reckon, COVID seems to be one of the biggest factors to impact shipping for the years to come. Actually, many people think that it's even greater its impact than the financial crisis. How do you see the Greater Bay Area working against the results of the pandemic and its impact on shipping?
Right. I think before I start, actually, I may maybe I'll take a bit 1 minute or two to talk about the existing situation of COVID-19 here in Hong Kong, kind of to set a scene. So far, we had about 5,200 cases of infection from COVID-19 out of a population of about 7.5 million in Hong Kong. So the infection rate is about 0.09%. 6%, sorry, 0.06%. Then for the death, for those people, they unfortunately passed away from COVID-19, we had about 105 cases. So in terms of percentage of the population is about 0.001%. So I think the whole situation is managed reasonably well. And we also had this community testing, which is meant for voluntary citizens. They come to us and to do the testing. Altogether, we did about 1.8 million cases. When you put that into the population of 7.5 million, is about a quarter of the population. Altogether, we had about 50 cases of infection out from this quarter of our population. Again, the number actually we think is very good. And the purpose of doing the community testing is so that we will be able to show that we are managing it very well. And then when we are talking about starting the traveling again to other countries or cities, then they would have a very good comfort factor to actually to do that with Hong Kong. So that's the purpose. So for that, actually for Greater Bay Area, we are having this health code, which we are working together, all three governments, Guangdong government, Shenzhen government, and Hong Kong government. We are working together on this health code. The purpose of that actually is a mutual recognition arrangement so that we will be able to facilitate an orderly restoration of traveling. And for that, behind that, of course, the purpose is the resumption of economic activities. Now, this preparatory task is mainly to enable recognized testing facilities to provide the testing results so that people, they did the testing, they could download this health code from the system. And then this health code, for example, here in Hong Kong, it could be converted into a health code in, say, Macau or Shenzhen or Guangdong province, so that this will be kind of like something you can carry around with you and show that to the relevant governments and quarantine officials. And with that, of course, this is meant to facilitate the traveling and also economic activities. But then, of course, more importantly is the resumption of the demand and the market. Now, for Greater Bay Area, actually now it is a very
sizable. May I just take you for a second? So when
sure.
Thank you. When do you think you're gonna open up again the offices?
Well, this is something that we are. Sorry, this is something that we are working together, and it is not easy because now what we are working is that besides the Greater Bay Area and then also the rest of mainland China, we are also working with 11 other countries on this travel bubble. But of course, the first area to open up for the traveling with Hong Kong, for sure it will be the Greater Bay Area. Now for the Greater Bay Area traveling, that's mainly by road or by the water, so that the facilities actually, it means that it will be mainly road border crossing and also ferry instead of the airport. So it's a bit different, and I think it's a bit easier also. In terms of timing, actually, we do not have that yet because now for Hong Kong, we are under our third wave of this pandemic, and this is toward the end of it. So we are trying to manage it well enough so that we will be able to start the traveling again. Yes, and I was talking about the market, and I think this will be the last part for this question. For the market, actually, we are seeing very strong market on a lot of the commodities, for example, iron ore, grain, and even, for example, for the container freight rate, actually, we've seen a very high rate of that. Actually, if you're talking about container freight coming from China to East Coast, USA, the freight rate now is over $4,000 per box. So it's very high, and that actually is a reflection of the demand. So I think for the shipping market here in the Greater Bay Area and also China is very strong.
So do you think the COVID has affected the financial reforms and initiatives that Hong Kong is part of it? For example, the economic integration of 11 cities in the Pearl River Delta and the measures announced with regard to this integration and other measures. So do you think COVID is halting this effort for an integration and financial boosting?
Yes, I think to put the Greater Bay Area, the 11 cities, into the perspective of the Maritime Silk Road is actually a very good question, and this is part of the intention and also the possibility of how to make use of the Greater Bay Area the best in a global context. Now, if you look at the Greater Bay Area, it has Shenzhen, which actually is celebrating its 40th birthday anniversary, becoming the special economic zone 40 years ago. Now, over 40 years ago, actually, now, if you look at its achievements, by now, Shenzhen's GDP stands at about 384 billion US dollars. Actually, it surpassed the GDP of Hong Kong in 2018. So actually, they have done that in just 38 years, becoming the special economic zone. And by now, actually, Shenzhen, it has also #3 container port around the world. It is becoming a tech hub with 2 major technology companies, Tencent and also Huawei. So it has done a lot of achievements. So I think when you look at this, there is a lot of experience sharing they could do to countries along the Maritime Silk Road. And I think this is one of the best way of contributing to the world economy. One example, which I would like to quote, is actually very near to you, Vanessa, is the Port of Piraeus, where Costco, they have did the investment. And I think for that, actually, they brought in not only the investment, but also technology, management, and also the volume of the boxes going in there. And the ranking globally, I think it jumped from 96 globally to about 38 now. So actually, I think it's a very good example of how Greater Bay Area could contribute to the Maritime Silk Road.
Well, and this is a great example of how our countries can collaborate, and the shipping industry, different places of the world, can collaborate and create something magnificent. Which now leads to my last question, because we are running out of time.
Yes.
And IMO. We are all aware of the IMO strategy of reducing greenhouse emissions in 2030 and 2050. And we are all aware of the financial constraint that it has put to the shipping industry. However, I've recently read about the Green Finance Initiative by Chinese banks. So I was wondering, do you think how this will help the industry? What will be the impact, and whether COVID will again halter this effort?
Right. Yes, there is this green finance initiatives in the Greater Bay Area, and I think it is fantastic. I think anything relating to green and sustainability is great. Now, besides because there is a lot of details that still have to be ironed out from the Green Finance Initiative. For example, the Guangzhou Carbon Emission Exchange, how is it going to work, and how the mechanism between Hong Kong and Guangzhou on that. But at the same time, I think there are also other initiatives worth mentioning. For example, on the ESG, that actually is a very hot item these days. I'm talking about voluntary also disclose of information on sustainability and the different fronts. Now, for Hong Kong, actually, we have launched this Green Finance Certification Scheme, which is to provide third-party conformity assessments. So with a view to direct capital flow toward green and sustainable uses. And besides of that, also we are also pushing ahead a lot on the green bond. For that, actually, the government has put aside about $8.5 billion to allocate it for subsidize the issuing of green bonds. And then ship leasing, of course, all the green vessels, actually, they have to be financed. So we have launched this ship leasing tax regime, which is aiming to facilitate and to improve the liquidity in the market. Now, we have, how does it work? These tax incentives is that the tax rate actually is now reduced to 0% for the ship lessors. And for the ship lease management companies, if they are associated with the ship lessor, then the tax rate is also 0%. And then for the non-associated management companies, they are tested at its profit at 8.25%. So it's very low. And then, of course, technology, all the green initiatives has to be supported by technology. That's why the government also have promised to allocate resources to it. We have committed to 100 billion Hong Kong dollars to the technology. And of course, it has to be done with the infrastructure, with the R&D, and also with the infrastructure. So I think for this actually is the technology which is driving it.
It sounds really optimistic. So this to sum up, how do you see the China Greater Bay Area facing the future? So what's your prediction, Ben?
Right. We are very positive on the Greater Bay Area. Now, if you look at the size of the Greater Bay Area as of now, in terms of GDP, actually is already bigger than the GDP of Canada or South Korea. So with a GDP of that size, and also with its comprehensiveness of the economic structure, actually it could do a lot. And if I may, I would sum up the Greater Bay Area. Some is a uniqueness in this, even in a global sense, that now Greater Bay Area has a world-class financial services platform, world's largest IPO market, 2 stock exchanges, 3 top 10 container ports, and it is also a technology hub with 2 tech giants. These two, they are actually 2 of the top 10 capitalization technology companies. So putting all that together with a GDP size of 1.7 trillion US dollars, I think I have made my point in terms of the breadth and also in terms of the width, depth of Greater Bay Area.
And I think you've made your point that not even COVID can stop you guys. So it was lovely having you today. And thank you again for this lovely conversation. And let's see what's going to happen in the future. And all the best. And thank you again, Capital Link, for having us.
Thank you to both.
Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. And by the way, Benjamin and I and a lot of other people will have the chance to talk about this on November 16, when we're having our Hong Kong event. Not
yes.
That Benjamin will be in Athens with us virtually.
Fantastic. And next time, I hope we could meet with each other in person.
Either Hong Kong or Athens. You have an open invitation to.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to both of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.